Going to be doing some digging with the Kubota today. Going to be in a little precarious positions with some side hills. So I was going to slide the tires out. You can see this one has about 1.5 rows of tread sticking out, whereas this side has a full 4 rows. So for some reason this is how it was when I bought it. This row's been slid in. I went out last night. I went to slide it out, and I had it jacked up in the air. And I was just kind of looking at it and seeing what was going on, and I discovered that the side that slid out all the way does this. So that's a little bit more of a big issue right now than the side that's not slid out all the way. And I'm not sure what's going on. This side over here, you can see there's just the one bolt that tightens down the 2 halves of the clamshell in there. This side has the same bolt in the back side, but then it's got this weird little tiny thing going through the middle. I don't know what they got going on there, but hopefully nothing's broke. Hopefully we can just tighten something down and keep using this. So I'll get the wheels pulled off and we'll take a close. Okay, so this bolt here, as you tighten it down, it's welded on the bottom half of this piece. So as you tighten it down here, it presses this half down in, shrinking up on the axle. That little rinky bolt was just going through. There's a hole in the axle. I don't know if that's supposed to be a fail-safe to keep the wheel from coming off if that loosens up or what, but the other side doesn't have one. We're definitely going to replace it with the proper size bolt. You can see how it's been cut into the side of this and egging it out since there's been nothing else holding the wheel on. So we'll get the proper size bolt in there, and looks like it should be an easy fix. And this is how sliding tires works. You can see there's 3 holes going back and there's 1 over here. Most of the time when I see the turf tires, the hub is in this position, and if I slide to this hole all the way out here, you can see it's hanging off the end of the axle shaft like that. I do not like that at all. I don't think that's how Kubota designed it. That there's the next hole back. That's where we're going to run it. And this one here, well, I can't actually even slide in all the way because there's a burr on the axle from that small bolt, but there's another hole back. And then these outside 2 holes, I believe it's for the ag tires, and the ag tires I always see the hub not in this position but flipped around the other way with this part sticking out. Obviously the studs would be turned around, but then you can see this outside hole lines up about perfect. So I'm assuming maybe that these last 2 here are for the ag style tires, which we do not have. So we're going to run this hole here. And I found 2 probably 3.5 inch 3/8 grade 5 bolts. That should work just fine. They drop right through, and it'll be better than that tiny little thing they had in there, which was probably a 7/16 at most, just a plain grade 2. So we're going to put that in there, and hopefully this tightens down. And while we're in here, we're going to paint the axle shaft. Rust-Oleum does make a, I don't know, it's called something like Midnight Blue, or I don't know, it's got some really long name. And I've read online that it matches the factory Kubota gray color very well. I don't have that. I've just got plain Rust-Oleum smoke gray. So I painted the drawbar with this before and it came out pretty good, so that's what we're using. And we're not going for, you know, some kind of factory showpiece here, restoration, but just functional. I figured while it's off, we might as well clean it up, get the rust off, and throw some paint on there. And up here too, on the inside of the fender, you can see where it's got some of the paint rubbed off. I do have the paint for this. We'll try it out anyway. For the orange, I guess just the plain Rust-Oleum orange is supposed to be a pretty good match. So we'll shoot some of that in there and see how good of a match it is. And for prep work, I like to use brake clean, which of course I took away. Why would I put it away? So I like to use brake clean. And just spray it on the rag. Normally I'd spray the part down, but I really don't want to thin out that paint I just put on there. I want it to dry, so we'll just do a quick wipe down. And we'll shoot some of this on there. See see how it looks. That's a pretty good match. Once it dries, I think you probably won't even notice. So I'll let this set up, probably put another coat or two on each, and call it good. Pulled the other tire off. You can see there's no bolt through that hole. And here's what I found. There was literally nothing keeping this hub on the axle shaft. That's a pretty scary thought. This wheel could have come off going down the road. Sure, it only goes 10 miles an hour, but when you're pulling a trailer behind you, that still can get pretty hairy pretty quick. I still can't believe that was just literally sitting on here this entire time. So we're definitely going to get some bolts back in there. This side I'm sure stayed on because this bolt here is tight to where it's, you know, remotely the size of this axle shaft. There's not a whole lot of slop in there. Well, actually there is now. There wasn't because it was probably wedged up. You can see it ramps up a little bit here. It's probably wedged up on that. So same issue going on this side. We'll knock this mud off and spray it quick while we got it apart. While we're waiting for the paint to dry, we're going to attack the 3-point hitch. This is something else I've been putting off. And whenever you buy a piece of equipment, you should really go over it like I should have done with this. I've only had it for a couple months. But I had some work to get done and I just put it straight to work, and it truly could have been, it was dangerous. I just didn't know it. Those tires could have come right off. Now you see here on the 3-point hitch we've got big spacer, medium spacer, little spacer, and then there's no spacer on the outside. I don't know what's the deal with all the spacers, but you can see this side is offset to the outside much more than this side. I mean, it's negligible as far as your implement. You're talking half an inch, 3/8. But we're going to correct that so it's nice and even, and replace these nails with some actual cotter pins, and just clean it up a little bit. I believe this one here is factory and these two are just a random piece of pipe. You can see this one's got kind of a nice taper to it, and the back of the tractor's got a little cup that it fits right into. So for now we're going to use these two here. They're pretty close in height. I mean, close enough for what we're doing. So we'll just order another one of these next time we place an order, so we save on shipping. I'm not going to buy just one thing. We'll put it back together for now, and it'll be alright. All put back together and the tire spacing looks much better. However, still does this. Both sides do now. And now that I'm thinking about it, the bolt on the back side, yes, it could clamp down the back half of the hub, but this front side is welded solid all the way around. I really don't see how it could be any tighter than this. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments down below. I've never had one of these before. I don't know if this is how it's supposed to be or not, but I hammered on the bolt with impact, this guy here on both sides, and it was nice and snug in the back here, but anyway, so that's interesting though. The side that I thought was the dangerous side had a bolt through it like that, and the side that was nice and tight was tight because it was rammed up all the way on top of the axle housing here. So they're both on now, both got bolts through them, so they're not going anywhere. If you guys know anything, please let me know in the comments, like I said, and if you guys like this, please comment, rate, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.